do have, the colors don't show up, but the colors are up here. This is the 1903 plat map, which is very helpful. And I've been able to locate where the families live, unless they sold property between 1899 and 1903, which some of them did. But here's Stevensville. Here's Royalton Township. Here's what became known as Baroda Township, but back then it was Lake Township. Stevensville here, they built the church here. Why? If they would have built a church in a central location, where would it more likely have been located? I've got an answer for you. They would have built it on the corner of Mars Road and Cleveland Avenue, where the Phil Follick farm is right now. Why? It would have been equidistant from Royalton Township, Stevensville area, and the Lake Township members. But they saw the writing on the wall, and that the future for a Lutheran congregation, especially if they have a school, was the best place to locate it was in this place that Ernest and Frederick Schnepp offered property to, and so they located here. I just gave you a brief display of the Lincoln Township locations. Now you can't see those locations because the color didn't show up, but this map is included on all the members and over on the wall over there. Here's Lake Township, which became Lake Township, it was known as Baroda Township. We will describe in April and June, when we discuss each family, we will describe exactly where they lived at the time. There's Royalton Township, the Knuth family, the Mischke family, later on after 1902, the Bartelts family, the Bartle family. The language they spoke and worshipped in German. The census tells us that only 40 of the 59 charter members knew any English at all. Their vocation, they were all except for 4 owners of farms. This was an agrarian-based congregation. To show that there was a financial commitment that was very difficult to maintain when it comes to a mortgage on a church, sustenance for payment of a pastor and a teacher. I show this slide because many of our original charter members had to seek off-season employment, helping out with the construction of our roads, which were dirt and ruddy, and our bridges, which needed to be built, for instance, across the creek on John Beers Road. And so finances were very difficult for contributing to the salary of the pastor, the salary of the teacher, sustenance of the school and its supplies, and the mortgage on the church. They really did dedicate themselves to a financial commitment when they founded this church in 1899, over and above anything that you and I sense today. I asked that, where would it be if travel to and from? How far do you travel to church? And then you say, oh, 5 miles, oh, 10 miles, oh, 13 miles. Do you realize that if you were the Albert Mischke family living out in Royalton Township, the equivalent for them coming to worship at St. Paul would be the same as if you lived in Grand Rapids, approximately. If you lived in Grand Rapids, how often would you be able to be regular at worship? Very difficult. So even though they founded a church closer, guess what? It still took a commitment for those individuals to gather together and to travel by horse or by walking at their local congregation located here today. Congregational affiliations, and this will be our last slide. Notice the staying power of this congregation. Later on, individuals who were charter members and their spouses who were buried here at a funeral from St. Paul's Lutheran Church, buried by 51% were. 51%. What happened to those 49%? 3 things. Residential changes, confessional changes, or relational changes. Some of them married somebody closer to Bridgman and went to Emmanuel Bridgman. Some of them moved back to Benton Harbor and were buried at St. Matthew's. So about 51% of the charter members ended up being buried at a funeral conducted by St. Paul's. 70% were buried within the fellowship at a Lutheran church other than Stevensville. Most prominently Sodus, Bridgman, Emmanuel, which was in fellowship at the time, and St. Matthew's. Next, April 7th to June 2nd, I hope you'll be here. The detail of the actual charter members, their families, their spouses, who their spouses married. But in the meantime, please tear out that sheet. Identify, if I haven't identified yet and given you a certificate of acknowledgement, please let me know what you think your connection is, or what it might be, or what it definitely is. Because I want to include you in our effort to link up the past with the present. What's going to take place now? Those who want to go to the late service because you didn't go to early service, we're going to excuse so you can attend the late service. Those who went to early service, I'm going to stick around for discussion and ask about family history. Going to the late service, I'll be here after the late service to engage the same kind of discussion and conversation after your worship hour, which will end about 4:00. Thank you.